Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ashley Momsilovich and I will be your instructor for this section of BIO 182 this summer at Mesa Community College. The purpose of this video is to give you a little tour of how I've set up this Canvas page and to give you some tips and tricks for being successful on your labs and your assignments and things like that. So first of all, I do want to point out to you that this is an 8-week course. Normally, in a normal spring or fall semester, the course would be 16 weeks. So this is going to be the same amount of material, but it's condensed into 8 weeks. So essentially every week you will have twice as much material to cover as you would in a normal 16-week course. And so that's something you do need to think about as we're getting into this semester. This is going to be a lot of work. It's going to require you to be really disciplined and being really on top of your assignments. If you fall behind on anything, it's going to be very, very hard for you to get caught back up. So I just want to give you a heads up about that in advance so that there are no surprises once we get in and you have, a couple hours of lecture videos to watch and then lecture readings and lab assignments and all of these things to do. So when you first log into Canvas, this is what your home screen should look like. You have essentially on the main page, this is where I will post announcements about exams and details about that. I'll give you an overview of your assignments that are due each week and anything else that's going on in the class. So here I've just posted for now this video I'm making will be inserted after I finish it. And then a little bit of info about kind of time and how much time everything will take each week. Just a little bit of info about the class. There's a link for your syllabus, a little bit more information about the class. So one thing you do need to be aware of is that there are a couple of labs that are going to require you to either sign up for an online subscription to another service, and we'll talk more about that as we get further into the semester. It's called SimBio, and so you will have to register for that. We're still working on getting that all set up for you, so I'll let you know when you can sign up for that. That's $18. And then you will need some white fabric for another experiment that you're going to set up. So all in all, you should plan on about $50. It's probably actually quite a bit less than that you actually need. But you do have to purchase a couple of supplies to get you through the semester. Another thing that you have to be aware of is that all of the exams, quizzes, things like that are going to be proctored online. And so that's through what we call the Respond as Lockdown browser. So if you've already been in classes, you probably are kind of familiar with this and you probably have this on your computer. If you don't, then this is something you'll want to pay attention to. You want to make sure that your computer is compatible with that technology. So there's certain types of computers, and I have more information about that won't allow you to download that, but you will not be able to take your exams without the Respond as Lockdown browser. And so one of the first assignments, which I'll show you, is to just go in, make sure that you have it downloaded correctly, so that when we get to the first exam, there's no confusion, there's no issues, and you're just kind of ready to go. Let's see. So essentially about every 2 weeks, you're going to have a lecture exam, and then you'll have two kind of lab midterms and a lab final. And I'll kind of give you an idea of the schedule for that once we get into the modules. This week you do have assignments due. So your first lecture activity is due on this Wednesday, June 2nd. So you are expected to watch the first set of lecture videos and complete that assignment. You have your first lab due on Thursday. And you also have a lecture quiz that's due on Saturday, June 5th. So every week you'll have lecture assignments, you'll have labs, and then you'll have a lecture quiz at the end of the week to kind of check your comprehension and things like that. So weekly office hours will be held every Tuesday and Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Through WebEx. or we can make an appointment. If that time doesn't work for you, we can find another time that works for both of us, and I'm happy to do that for you. Those are the times I can promise you I'm available. Other than that, we can work it out and find a time if you have questions or concerns or anything you want to go over. So let's go back up. So the other things that are going to be important are, and if I need to post any announcements, your grades, that's where you'll see your grade book. The syllabus is there, so I posted it a few different places so you can make sure you have access to it. And then the modules. So let's go ahead and go into the modules. So in the modules, I've broken it down by weeks. And so as of right now, I have just the first 2 weeks published, or maybe just the first week. So I'll have to go in and look at that. So for the first week, you have a few things to do. So make sure you come in here, you read this. This is the course welcome for Bio 182 and your orientation. So this gives you even more information about the class, how it's structured, the expectations, and things like that. If my internet wants to load it, which we'll see. Oh, here we go. So you have my contact information, you have my email address, you have my WebEx again, you have my office hours, your syllabus is linked in here again, a little bit more information about the structure of the course, and then just keep this in mind. So look ahead at kind of the way the due dates are going to work for things. If something doesn't work for you, then you should go ahead and start working ahead if you have time so that you can have those assignments done, because you cannot fall behind. If you fall behind, you are going to stay behind and it's going to end badly. So just make sure that if there's something that's due on a day and you have to work, just get it done ahead of time. Another thing to point out is that if you have a question, if something's unclear, if something's going on, I don't know what's going on in your life because I don't see you every day. And so it's important that you email me, you come to office hours, you contact me in some way so that I know that you're having an issue, you have a question, something like that. I don't know that you need something from me unless you reach out. And so if it seems like you're struggling, I will reach out to you, but anything that's unclear at all, please contact me. There's a little bit here about student email in your Canvas inbox. So things that are sent from Canvas will be sent to your student email. If you want it sent somewhere else, you should have everything forwarded or just check the email. So you can adjust your settings to have things sent different places and things like that. And it gives you some info on how to do that. There's a little section on netiquette, so just kind of some rules of behavior while you're doing things in an online environment and things like that. So make sure that you read through all of this. Let's go back into our modules. The next thing is the syllabus acknowledgement setup and the Respondus lockdown browser. So this will take a couple minutes. So it's going to give you instructions for how to download the Respondus lockdown browser and the webcam, and it's going to basically say, I've read the syllabus, I understand all of the requirements for this course, and I agree to it. This is just worth 1 point out of your 1,020 or so points that you have in the class, but this is something you should do. Just make sure it works before we start getting into the first set of exams in 2 weeks, just to make everybody's life a little bit easier and make everything go nice and smooth. There's a link for biology tutors on here. So MCC has free tutors. These are free to use at any time. There's a lot of them that work early mornings and late nights and things like that. I am not always available late nights. I have a 2-year-old and I'm currently pregnant with my second child, so late nights don't work for me. So if you need help and it's late at night, this is a good place to go. When you click on it, it will take you to a link on Mesa Community College's website, and any biology tutor that's available will have a green light essentially next to their name, and you can talk to them about any content. They won't necessarily be able to answer questions about the actual class and structure and things like that. Those are questions for me. But as far as questions about if you don't understand a concept or something like that, they're a really good resource. So take advantage of them. And so this is a little bit more, the rest of this is a little bit more of what you would expect to see in every week. So every week you're going to have lecture videos to watch. So they're all pre-recorded, they're on YouTube, they're easy to find. This gives you a little bit of some suggestions on how to take notes and things like that. So you have textbook sections to read. There's chapters as well as extra readings on certain topics. There's a link to the slides themselves. And then there are the lecture videos. So you'll click this link where it says BIO182 video playlist. It's on YouTube, and you can watch the recorded lecture videos. So because this is an 8-week course instead of 16, you essentially have 2 weeks worth of lectures in 1 week. So they're labeled like lecture 1.1 and 1.2 because that's essentially the first week of lecture in a normal class, but because it's a summer class, that's essentially the first day, and then this is like day 2, basically. So this is where you're going to find everything you need to know, all of the content. If we go back to our modules, your first assignment is here. So this one is just on a little bit of genetics review. There's one of the lectures is on a genetics review. So we come in here and it's going to take you to a Google Doc. So for lecture assignments, you do have to prove to me that you've done the work. And the way that the biology department has decided to do this is to make you put your student ID. It can be your driver's license, your military ID. It doesn't matter. It has to be a photo ID that you'll put here essentially with your name and the date so that I know that this is your work. So this is something that you should print out if you can and fill it in by hand. And then you would put your ID up in this square up here. And you, at that point, then you'll either scan it back in on a computer. You can use a camera scanner on your phone. You can take a picture of it. And then you'll upload that to Canvas and that will be your submission. If you don't have your ID on that assignment, then it just gets a 0. I have to know that you've done it. It's super easy to cheat in online classes. And so this is kind of the way that we've come up with to make it so that it's a little bit more difficult to cheat, hopefully. So that's something to keep in mind. You will, if you don't have access to a printer, you don't want to do all of this printing, you can write these all out by hand, put your picture ID on the assignment, take a picture of the whole thing, and then send that to me. That's perfectly fine if you don't want to take the time to print all of this out and waste the ink and all that. You can handwrite all of your answers. Just make sure that it's clear, you know, the question that you're answering and things like that. So that's how you should be doing all of your lecture assignments. You will have generally 2 a week. If there's an exam or something going on, I try to make it a little bit easier and maybe take one of those away. But that's essentially the way it is. So the first week you have that one, and then you have a second one. So the first assignment is over that first set of lecture videos, the 1.1 and 1.2. The second one is over that second set, so 2.1, 2.2. Every week except this week and this week, you have 2 lab assignments because technically you would have 2 labs a week instead of 1. The labs are online. And so when you come into the lab, you will click on this and it'll take you to another Google Doc. Let's let it load. And it will give you essentially everything you are supposed to read. So you will read down through this. Anytime there's a link, this is an external link, it's something you should click on and follow that link. So it might be an online textbook chapter, things like that. So make sure you click on all of those links and do that. For this assignment, anything that you are supposed to do, anything you're supposed to answer for the lab is in green. So here it says insert a graph. So basically make a graph using this information and insert it here. And then answer the question. So anything that's in green, this where you have to insert a graph, or anything in a green box that's a question. Your labs essentially will work so that this part of the lab is a completion assignment, and then you'll have a quiz. So I'll show you how that works. You just kind of work through all of the material and then answer the questions, and then you'll come back here and you'll click on take the quiz. So when you come in to take the quiz, the first question is going to be, please upload a copy of your lab here in PDF form. So you'll want to upload a completed copy of your lab in PDF. So for this, let me go back to this. Sorry about that. So you want to come up here. You will not be able to type on this. This is my copy. You can't edit it. So what you want to do is come up here and go to File. You just click Make a Copy, and it will make a completely new copy. That one is yours, and you can type on it. You can edit it. So let's do that. Let's just do this to show you. So you click Make a Copy. And then when we get into this new copy, you can edit it. You can fill in the green boxes. You can do whatever the heck you want to it. And then you'll save it as a PDF, and that's what you will submit for your assignment. So now you can come in here, and now, ooh, look, we can type our answer and all of that good stuff. And then when you're done, you'll come up here, you'll go to download, and then you'll go to a PDF document. And that's how you're going to save your lab assignments to turn them in, so that when you are in this lab, you click choose a file, you upload your completed lab assignment, you upload your identity check. So I do need like a little piece of paper that says your name, the date, the title of the lab, and then your picture ID here as well. Each of these things are worth 1 point. If you're missing either of them, it's a complete 0 for the entire quiz, whether or not you've completed the rest of the questions. You have to have the completed lab, and you have to have that identity check. Without those, it's just a total 0. And then there's other questions that you'll come in here and you'll answer, and then you'll submit it. Lab quizzes, you can take as many times as you want. So if you get like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, you can go back and you can try it again to get all the points, essentially, to make sure that you earn as many points as possible. So it's always a good idea to maybe do these a little bit early so that you have time to complete if you need to take it more than once before the deadline. So for these, there's no reason that you shouldn't get a 10 out of 10 on all of your labs because of this. For at least the first 6 or so, the first 6 labs, this is the way that they'll work. They'll be a little bit different after that, but for the first 6 labs, this is how these ones will work. Okay, let's go back into our modules. So then you have another lecture assignment, and then you have your lecture quiz. And so there's 20 questions. It's worth 20 points total. You have 45 minutes. And so for all lecture quizzes, this is for week 1. It's over all of the material from the first week. You have 2 attempts. So if you don't do well on the first attempt, you can go back and take it again as long as it's before the deadline. And so that just gives you an opportunity to make sure you get a good score, get all the points that you possibly can, and do well in the class and do well on the quizzes. These quizzes are important. They are really good examples of the types of questions that will be on your exams. And so even if you get a 10 out of, or a 20 out of 20, whatever it is, on the first attempt, you should probably go ahead and just take it again, because it's pulling the questions from a bank of questions. And so at the end of it, you'll get even more practice, and you won't be getting the same questions twice. You might get 1 or 2 twice because they're pulling them randomly from usually about 20 questions for each part, so about 40 questions total. And so you'll get a bunch of different questions, and you can kind of get an idea and more practice for your exams. Okay. Let's go back into modules. So every week, you'll have labs that are due on Tuesday and Thursday. You will have lecture assignments due on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you will have a lecture quiz that's due on Saturday. And so with all of that, like I said before, if you need to work ahead, you have a busy work schedule, whatever it is, anything that I've published, anything that's ready to go, you are welcome to go ahead and work ahead on. The only thing you can't work ahead on are exams. So whether it's a lecture exam or a lab exam, it doesn't really matter. Those have to be taken at certain times. So your first lecture exam and your first lab exam are at the end of the second week of classes. And so you'll have, I think, 3 days to take the first lecture exam and 2 days to take the first lab exam. And for those exams, you have 2 or 3 days in which to take it, but you have to take it within those days. Otherwise, you can work as far ahead as you want to get ahead. Just make sure that you're getting all of the material. I think that is all I wanted to tell you. If you guys have any questions, any concerns, anything at all, you can send me a message through Canvas. You can send me an email. You can come to office hours. And other than that, I'm looking forward to this semester. It's going to be quick, and it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment, I think, if you've never taken a summer class. But hopefully we've got it set up in a way that will make it manageable, and we will be able to do this really smoothly. So like I said, any questions or concerns, let me know. And other than that, have a good weekend, and we will get started officially next week, just after Memorial Day. Bye, guys.